Join YWAMers around the globe in praying and hearing from God. He is inviting you. In January of last year, we began praying for YWAM's foundational values, 3 at a time, once per quarter. This issue of the invitation marks the completion of this prayer campaign. Please join us in praying for ourselves and for the whole YWAM family to live out these final 3 values: to depend on God, to practice hospitality, and to communicate with integrity. According to Rita Pretorius, who provides input to the invitation, be hospitable was one of YWAM's first values, along with our motto, to know God and to make Him known. Rita believes that hospitality helped us, as YWAM, to stay a loving community and not to become an institution. Being hospitable is part of our DNA because it is not about programs or a method, it is all about relationships. Terry Sherman also noted that the biblical examples of Value 16, practice dependence on God, are about God connecting people to make mutual provision. It's never one-sided, but both parties are blessed in some way. It's all about partnership and interdependence. As we take a look at our final value, communicate with integrity, YWAM has teams that model and teach us this value in relational ways. Some of these groups are the College of Communication at YWAM's University of the Nations, Create International, and Circle 18. Here is the full text of these 3 values. Value 16. Practice dependence on God. YWAM is called to practice a life of dependence upon God for financial provision. For individuals and YWAM corporately, this comes primarily through His people. As God has been generous towards us, so we desire to be generous YWAMers, giving ourselves, our time, and our talents to God through the mission with no expectations of remuneration. Value 17. To practice hospitality. YWAM affirms the ministry of hospitality as an expression of God's character and the value of people. We believe it is important to open our hearts, homes, campuses, and ministry centers to serve and honor one another, our guests and the poor and needy, not as acts of social protocol, but as expressions of generosity. Value 18. Communicate with integrity. YWAM affirms that everything exists because God communicates. Therefore, YWAM is committed to truthful, accurate, timely, and relevant communication. We believe good communication is essential for strong relationships, healthy families and communities, and effective ministry. Please join with the invitation during the month of April to pray with us about these 3 values. You are particularly invited to pray during our prayer day, April the 11th. If you only have a few moments to pray, we would ask you to pray for yourselves and for our YWAM family that God would help us live out dependence on God, hospitality, and good communication. As you pray and contemplate these foundational values, we would love to receive stories from you regarding how these values have shaped your ministry or your life. You can email us at prayer@ywam.org. Preparing to pray. As you gather to pray, have a conversation about the different ways of greeting people you've encountered in different cultures. In what ways has different greetings made you feel welcome, or perhaps not welcome? Perhaps you've experienced moments of confusion when you are not sure whether to hug or not hug, or you thought 2 kisses were normal when it was really 3. How did these moments of confusion make you feel? What are some of the ways you've gone out of your way to greet those from other cultures in ways that would make them feel welcome and at ease? Henry Nouwen reminds us that every good relationship between 2 or more people, whether it is a friendship, marriage, or community, creates space where strangers can enter and become friends. Good communication and good relationships are both hospitable in nature. When we enter into a home and feel warmly welcomed, we will soon realize that the love among those who live in the home is what makes possible the welcome that is communicated. Discuss together what would your communication look like or sound like as an expression of love between you and God offered to others. What would your behavior be like? How might you approach your prayer and funding partners differently as you bear in mind the values of hospitality and honoring communication? Matthew 22, verses 37 to 39 says, "And I said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." So please pray for YWAM Foundational Values 16 through 18. First, praise God for giving wisdom to our leaders regarding our foundational values, and ask Him how you can model and teach our values more effectively. Value 16. Practice dependence on God. Your worker is worthy to be supported. Matthew 10, verse 10, and Luke 10, verse 7. Jesus so clearly taught the disciples their identity involved doing real work, which was worthy to be supported through housing and food. Pray for biblical understanding to spread, which will give confidence to gospel spreaders to do their legitimate work and have freedom to invite partnership. Also pray that churches, pastors, and elders will gain understanding of their role as senders of gospel spreaders, of their role in the Great Commission. Value 17, to practice hospitality. Pray for a greater revelation of hospitality in our mission and how it affects our ministries. Pray for a deeper understanding for God's heart for people. Hospitality is not a method. It is a relationship with God first and then people. According to Christine D. Pohl, faithful hospitality usually involves laying our lives down in little pieces, in small acts of sacrificial love and service. Part of the mystery is that while such concrete acts of love are costly, they nourish and heal both giver and recipient. Pray for an outpouring of honor, beauty, and generosity in our YWAM communities. Pray for all leaders to understand this value and put it into practice in their own lives and model it to the communities. And pray for a fresh wave of hospitality hosts and hostesses in our mission. Rita Pretorius says that hospitality is the golden thread that connects us as YWAM members internationally and also the hearts of the local communities where we serve. Please pray for revelation and understanding on how we can best walk in hospitality as a lifestyle. Pray for a fresh understanding to realize that hospitality is not just practical, but indeed very spiritual. Pray that God would show us ways to welcome the broken and the stranger into our homes and communities. Pray that we would create welcome places for ourselves, but also safe spaces where we are welcome our guests, staff, and trainees. Pray for school leaders to embrace this value and to practice it during the duration of the training program and not only during the initial welcome. Thank the Lord for all the hosts and hostesses who have worked in YWAM's hospitality departments over the years. This is sometimes a very thankless job. Also ask the Lord to enlarge our hearts, to receive all people. He is faithful and will do what we ask. Communicate with integrity. Pray for YWAMers to be good communicators. Pray for clear communication within Youth of the Mission. Pray for the launch of YWAM TV. Pray for 2/3 world YWAMers to know how to use gadgets of communication that will improve their ministry. Pray for the networking of communicators. Some of them work alone and need a team. Pray for Lynn Green, who provides eldership oversight for YWAM's global communication. Pray also for Circle 18, the team that works with Lynn on communication projects. Pray for YWAM's communication ministries, that they would inspire many people to get involved in serving God's purposes for the world, that they would help YWAM grow in fruitfulness, and that they would encourage an environment of spiritual vitality in YWAM. Pray for Create International at createinternational.com and the Ministry of Producing Evangelistic Audiovisuals for Unreached Peoples. Pray for the University of the Nations College of Communications, that they would train people well to communicate with integrity. And pray for the Invitation, which is one of YWAM's communication ministries. Pray for the translators and editors. Pray for YWAMers to continue to submit prayer ideas. And pray for prayer coordinators in YWAM to have the leading of God as they invite people to pray. There's many ways that we can look at taking action. For more information, please refer to ywam.org/aboutus/values to see YWAM's purpose, beliefs, and foundational values. Now, ways that you can take action for practicing dependence on God. You can conduct a Bible study on how God provides. There's a link to it at ywam.org that you can find in this letter. Also meditate on key scriptures, Matthew 10, verse 10, Luke 10, verse 37, Philippians 4, verses 15 to 17, and 1 Corinthians 9, verses 14. Spread the Kairos course into churches so they get revelation and understanding on their roles as senders. You can find a link to that course at ywam.org. Ways that you can practice hospitality. Romans 12, verse 13 says to practice hospitality. If we don't practice it, it is difficult to pull off at the moment when we need it. Be intentional to practice hospitality. Begin within your own family. You can organize a workshop at your location that addresses how can we as YWAM members practice hospitality to the marginalized and communities around us. Incorporate the results into your ministries and practices and share with others within YWAM. You can attend or host hospitality training seminars. There's one in Harpenden, England in May. You can check that out at ywamharpenden.org/hospitality-seminar. Also recommend that you take time to study God's Word on hospitality. You can find different verses that refer to that at YWAM.org in this letter. Also encourage you to reach out to people who are not your friends. Different ways you can take action to communicate with integrity. You can join the YWAM Communicator Circle's Facebook group. If you're involved in YWAM Communication Ministries, you want to connect with other YWAM communicators, you can ask to join this group. You can also go to uofn.edu and search for communication courses in YWAM's University of the Nations. You can enroll in the podcasting course. If you would like to learn how to create podcasts, go to ywampodcast.com. If you're interested in prayer and communication, ask how you can be a part of the invitation at prayer@ywam.org. We need an administrator and coordinators, photographers and videographers, researchers and translators for French, Indonesian, and Korean. You can also share stories on Facebook and send emails to prayer@ywam.org regarding how YWAM foundational values have impacted your walk with Christ, your family, your ministry, or other aspects of your life. Also share on facebook.com/Youth of the Mission, where you can post a picture and add a comment about how you prayed. Go to twitter.com, search for the hashtag PrayWithYWAM, and tweet about your prayer time and post a picture. You can also post a picture on Instagram using the same hashtag PrayWithYWAM. Also, send us an email at prayer@ywam.org to let us know how you prayed and what God has revealed to you. Last month, we prayed about the mobilization of 2/3 world senders. We received emails from missionaries in developing countries requesting prayer for provision and emails from several people around the world committing to pray for senders of the 2/3 world missionaries. A former DTS student in Cameroon requested prayer for God to provide in accordance with the calling on him and his fiancée. Another missionary from India requested prayer for financial support for basic needs for ministering to Hindus. In the future, we'll be praying for other topics. In May, we'll be praying for the Uyghur people group. In June, we'll be praying for Central Europe. And in July, we'll be praying about redeeming cultures. We want to encourage you not to miss out on the invitation. You can sign up for prayer updates at ywam.org, find the Stay Connected box on the homepage, put in your email address, and click Sign Up. You can also download prayer updates in specific languages by heading over to ywam.org/theinvitation. Join the conversation about how God is leading in these prayer times. Comment on the Facebook page on the second Thursday of every month at facebook.com/Youth of the Mission, or Twitter using the hashtag PrayWithYWAM. You can also post a photo on Instagram using the same hashtag PrayWithYWAM. You can also listen to the invitation as a podcast. To sign up or listen to past episodes, head over to ywampodcast.net/prayer. And if you sense God is giving you a word or direction for YWAM's prayer, please contact us at prayer@ywam.org. So thank you very much for joining us to pray this month about YWAM Foundational Values number 16 through 18. And we will talk to you again next month as we continue to pray as Youth of the Mission.